Hey, hi guys, how are you all? Good to see you all. It's 5 o'clock and I'm back again, third time in a row. So I'm looking forward to taking you through this journey. The last time we've spoken about general dentistry and we've spoken about other things. Today I'm going to be doing something more exciting and I'm actually going to show you how my everyday life at my clinic is, and let's just start with that. So like my presentation says, cosmetic dentistry for perfect teeth. Getting along, let's look at what I do in my everyday life. If you look at this close-up of what I'm showing you on the screen here, this is what I see in my day-to-day life over here. Okay, every patient who walks into my office comes in more or less for situations like this, where you see there's a spacing here, you see that this patient has all crooked teeth, malaligned teeth, different proportions. Look at this young patient here. This patient actually was getting married. She had a huge spacing between her teeth and she was actually very embarrassed about that spacing. Something like this, where you can see the teeth are so wide. So this patient had already had a treatment done on her teeth, but even after getting all the alignment and everything done, she wasn't very happy with the proportions of her teeth. You can see that the proportions are very different over here. So look at this is a very nice patient. She is a very sweet lady, but look at her front teeth. What do you think her front teeth are doing for her in a situation like this, where the teeth are looking definitely yellow and very discolored? Or something like this, where this man, again very nice man, he was a very funny person and he would always have my whole office in laughs whenever we spoke to him. But look at his teeth, they're all malaligned and he had no idea that these could be corrected. And when we spoke about it, he was really surprised when we said that we could correct it. This was another young boy. If you look at this again, there are a lot of spacing here, as you can see on his teeth. Now this boy comes from a rural area and obviously he didn't have any idea of what could be done for him. Something like this over here, again a lady with all front broken teeth, and the smile is actually our biggest asset. So when we have a smile that is not perfect, or that doesn't look very healthy, or that's not a very pleasant smile, it can be embarrassing at times for us. Or something like this, where I have this young girl, she's a very enterprising young girl, works at a very high position, but look at the teeth. You can see that the teeth are big in size, she's got a spacing on her teeth. Or something like this, where this young man was getting married, had spacing again in his teeth. If you look at his teeth closely, you'll see that the spaces are really big. Over here, again, she's a young aspiring model. This girl had teeth that were all crooked, and whenever she was doing all her modeling assignments, she would hardly smile because she was very embarrassed about her teeth. So that is the other thing, that when you look at teeth like this, and she was not very happy with it. Same thing here, very young patient, he got white spots on his teeth. He had white spots on his teeth over here, and when you look at these white spots, he was a very young boy and he was going to go to university, so he wasn't very happy with something like this. Or something like this, which we see very routinely in our everyday life. Look at these teeth, they are completely broken down. There are hardly any teeth over there, and this is again another situation where the patient is quite embarrassed to smile or talk to people. Something like this, where you can see again lot of spacing in the teeth, and all these teeth are very flared out, and we needed to close these spacings. Same thing, again a young lady, she's from Sholapur. When she went to her local dentist, they advised her to do a lot of cutting of her teeth and putting crowns. Now what I want to emphasize here also today is that we are not looking at cutting teeth or putting everything that I'm going to propose during this half an hour session that I'm going to do with everybody here, is that we are talking about doing non-invasive dentistry. We are talking about doing no damage dentistry. So a lot of these situations that I'm showing you, these are all my personal patients. These are people I've worked on in my everyday life. And when I work on these patients, and when we talk about giving them a nice smile, the whole objective of doing the nice smile is that these patients should be able to smile without their teeth being damaged. And that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you today, how we can deal with these things without absolutely damaging any tooth structure or cutting any tooth structure, or drilling any tooth structure. This again, if you look at these teeth, this boy was only 13 or 14 years old when he came in, but all the children in school were making fun of him. And because all the children in school were making fun of him, though he's a brilliant boy, he's a topper of his class, but again he's a very he's a child who doesn't talk to anybody, he will not speak, or he doesn't have too many friends because he's just embarrassed because both boys make fun of him in school. So when his father came to me and said what can we do for him, it is very easy to deal with a situation like this and make it very simple to handle this situation. Okay, something like this again, where again a very high up individual, he's very well placed in life, doing very well for himself, but the embarrassment for him is the spacing in his teeth. So we need to deal with something like that again. Something like this again, another patient where we see, you can see that there is a lot of spacing in her teeth, big wide spacing. Similarly over here, these are all different situations where patients come in. Or something like this where the crowns are looking really bad and these crowns don't look nice at all, and patient has a problem, not able to smile, not able to do anything, and it's an embarrassment. Or something like this where the teeth are all of different shapes and sizes. Something like this where the teeth are very yellow in color and the patient is very unhappy with the design. Or something like this where the patient, now if you look at this patient has already been given crowns on her teeth. She already had some dental work done, but you can make out that those crowns are not the correct size, they're not looking nice, they're not, and she's in the HR industry. So for her whole job is meeting people and smiling with people and talking to people. So most of the times you can see that she's holding her upper lip up to cover those teeth, which means that she's embarrassed with those teeth. Or something like this where the teeth look like they are proportioned nicely, but it's just that this proportion is not a fine proportion for the patient's actual face size. Okay? Something like this where you can see the two front teeth are of different sizes. Or something like this where the teeth are just discolored again. Okay? Something like this where the patient has been given crowns already, but all these crowns are of different shapes and sizes, so they are not very pleasant looking. Or something like this where the patient is again a very nice patient, but you can see that the front teeth are totally broken and she is a little embarrassed to smile. Or something like this where the teeth are all there, but they're all different colors. She's got 6 front teeth of 6 different colors. And a lot of times we think that, in India we don't do very good work, we should be going to the foreign countries. That's not true, because this was all done in the US, and even there are people, I think at some level do much better work than a lot of other countries in the world. So I think we should be really proud about that. Over here again another patient. This patient had front teeth, you can see they're completely discolored, they're black, they're not looking nice, and this is a huge source of embarrassment to the patient. Or something like this where he's a young boy, he's the executive vice president of his company at a very young age, but you can see that those front teeth are 2 different colors and he's just not happy with that kind of discoloration. Or something like this where another young patient has all white spots on their teeth. Another patient like this where you can see that she's got all crowns on the teeth, but the crowns are all uneven sizes, so she's not smiling very nicely. Or a situation like this where you can see she's got the teeth, but the teeth are all flaring out. Now again, she doesn't stay in India, but she's not happy with her smile and something needs to be done. So like I said, everybody needs to look good, and this is what we are talking about in our day-to-day life. Why do we look at cosmetic dentistry? Because when we look at cosmetic dentistry, most of these things that I have shown you in my everyday life are things that we can assess or we can do in a very simple fashion. So the first thing that we do when a patient comes in, you've seen all these pictures are pictures that we've done in our own office. So we have a professional setup to do pictures for the patient. So when the patient actually comes in, or when you come in for some cosmetic consultation, I don't just give you a cosmetic consultation or a cosmetic idea about what needs to be done. What I need to do is I need to do like a thorough planning for the patient, and the thorough planning starts first with doing some pictures for the patient. The first thing that we do is when we do these pictures and everything for the patient then realizes what the problem is. After we've done these pictures, then we computerize these pictures to give you a digital smile enhancement, which means that I'm actually not touching your teeth, I'm not going to do anything in your mouth, but what I do is I go back to my computer, okay, and we do a digital enhancement like this, which means that we actually computerize your whole natural smile which you have currently. And after that has been done, then we go ahead and now I have all your teeth on my computer. Once I have all the teeth on the computer, what I'm going to do next is I just take that smile that is your natural smile, and on the computer I can digitally convert it into a new smile. So which means that even without me touching you, or even without me having to touch your teeth at all, I can actually give you a new smile and show it to you on the computer and say, okay, you know what, this is what your smile is going to look like. Once you look at that smile and you're happy with it and you say, oh, this is looking nice, what should we do next? After we decide what we're going to do next, we actually transform that smile and convert it, do the smile for you in your mouth, and we do a simulation for you. Again, this simulation is done. So it's like this. If I tell you that, let's give you a new smile, let's try a new smile or something, and you're saying, oh, but I've lived with this smile for so long, I don't know if it will look nice. So for me to decide whether it's going to look nice or not, the first thing I do is I do a trial for you in your mouth. I just do a mock-up or a trial smile. It's like, when you're buying a new car, you do a test drive for the new car, and that test drive when you're doing, you decide, you do test drive for 10-15 different cars and say, okay, I'm going to buy this car. So similarly, we do a test drive or like a trial for the smile in your mouth. And when I'm doing this trial, I'm not touching your natural teeth at all. I'm just kind of building up your teeth and simulating a new smile there. The second I do that and you say, oh, this is looking good, we can go ahead with the treatment planning. If you say, no, this is not looking good, I'm not very happy with it, then we just change whatever and we go ahead and we decide on another treatment plan, or we decide what differently we can do with this. And once we've done all of that, then I actually put all those pictures that we've done on a computer in the office, and I sit with you and I discuss it with you. Once you're looking at the discussion, so we say, oh, this tooth is looking very long, this is looking short, and whatever we decide to do, we do that. And we do a complete planning on the computer itself with you looking at the smile. Once you're happy with the smile and you say, oh, this is looking really good, then we go ahead and we start planning the smile for you. So this is how we do a planning for the patient. Now, sometimes we have patients who have teeth like this, okay? The teeth they're just forward and backward. The teeth are not aligned. The teeth are all normal. Now, if you look at these teeth, they're looking perfectly fine. They are not abnormal, they're just slightly bigger in size, they are in the front. For something like this, we need to do damage-free dentistry. When I say we need to do damage-free dentistry, what I'm talking about is, if you see, the only problem in this patient is that the teeth are a little forward and backward. So what I need to do is just align these teeth. How do I actually align these teeth is without me even touching the teeth. So I just give you something like a plate, which is called an aligner, and you wear that plate. The plate has small springs that are built into it. So what that spring does is, the tooth that is at the back just gets pushed to the front, the tooth that is in the front gets pushed to the back, and suddenly you'll see in about 6 to 8 weeks, which basically means about 2 months, you'll see that your smile gets converted to a smile like that. So if you look at this patient, what we did for her was, we did not do any crowns for her, we did not do any veneers for her, we did not touch her natural teeth at all, we did not damage them at all, but what we just went and did is, we just aligned those teeth for her. So one plate, she wore it for 2 months, the alignment of all the teeth changed, we did not drill any tooth, we did not inject the patient, we did not give the patient any pain, we did not damage any teeth, and in 2 months time, she had absolutely perfect looking teeth which looked exactly like that, which is what we gave her. Now if you look at this, she's another patient. You can make out from the patient that she's a really young patient, and when this patient came in, you can see that her teeth, look at the top picture, that is what her teeth looked like. They were all crowded, they were all aage piche, and all we needed to do was align the teeth. So she had been to a couple of other dentists who said that we need to cut all your teeth and we need to put crowns on them and we need to drill them. But actually, for such a young patient, I will never touch the teeth and I will never drill the teeth, because once you touch the drill to the tooth, then the tooth's lifespan goes down to half. So I don't want to damage such a young patient's tooth. So that is why what we did was, we just gave her an aligner, which means that we gave her that plate to wear. In about 3 months time, all her teeth, which were like this, if you look at the teeth, you will see they are all front and back, backwards and forwards. But look at what in 3 months, see the change that we created in her. Can you see her smile has completely changed? And all of this, again, we have not touched a natural tooth, and everything's been put into perfect perspective by just giving her an aligner, one plate that she needs to wear for 3 months time, and that is it. She's done without damaging anything. So this is like completely damage-free dentistry. So if you look at a close-up of this patient's smile, you'll see that from these very crowded teeth that she had over here, we brought her back to a completely non-crowded situation in a perfectly aligned situation. Okay. So this is what she looked like after we finished her work for her, and you can see that the patient is really very happy with the smile, because her biggest problem was, doctor, don't drill my teeth, I'm very scared of getting my teeth drilled. Now the next thing I'm going to talk about is fantastic smiles in an hour. Now a lot of people have told me, oh, this is all false, it's not true, dentists always tell lies, they're always talking about things that are not possible. But let me show you a couple of things of how we can achieve fantastic smiles in an hour. So let's look at this. Now look at this patient here. This is a situation I see very commonly, and I'm sure all of us have seen a situation like this, where the patient has a little bit of spacing in their teeth, and that little spacing is a little bit of an embarrassment for them because they're not happy with the spacing. Now in a situation like this, a lot of times patients come to me and tell me, okay doctor, put a bridge on my teeth because I don't like the spacing. But look at what we did for this patient. This work was done exactly in an hour's time. What we did for her was, we just gave her an interim tooth, took a tooth, just placed it in that space. And what is this tooth? This tooth is not a natural tooth that I'm talking about. This is a tooth that we can build up. Now how am I going to build up this tooth? Because in dentistry now, dentistry is highly evolved. We have something called bonded dentistry, which means that what we're doing is, we are taking a material that looks exactly like the natural tooth, we are working on that material, we are building up that material. And it's like, the material is, if I give you an example, okay, you know what clay looks like. A clay, we can mold it into any shape to take up any shape at all. Similarly, this dental material called composite, it's like a dental clay, looks exactly like the natural tooth, feels exactly like the natural tooth, has color exactly like the natural tooth, and I can shape it up into whatever shape or color I want. Once I've done that, then we just put it into that space and we bond it, or we splint it to two adjacent teeth. Once I've done that, I have a tooth that will probably stay there. This tooth has been in place for the last at least 7 or 8 years, and the patient has had no problem. Now if you look at this, we gave her an immediate smile, and you can see that that space has been closed up really nicely. There is absolutely, it doesn't look artificial, it doesn't look bad, looks completely natural, and that is what we did for her. And this is how she looked when she came back 5 or 6 years later. Nothing had changed. The tooth looks exactly the same. The color looks exactly the same. Nothing has discolored, nothing has stained, nothing has broken, and we have an excellent. So this was a 4-year follow-up that we did for the patient. When she came back after 4 years, you can see that it is exactly in the same situation and nothing has changed. So this is why I'm saying this is because a lot of times people will ask me, doctor, do these things actually work? Because we have our apprehension. I got some work done and it didn't last for more than a month or a year or something. So yeah, we have follow-ups which last for 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, and the work lasts and it looks absolutely amazing and beautiful. So to tell you that something like this called bonded dentistry, does it last? Does it look good? Definitely, it can last for years together. So this was a boy that I showed you who had come from a rural place in Pune, and because he didn't have any idea of what could be done and he was getting married, this is what we did for him. In 45 minutes to an hour, we created an absolutely new smile for this boy because he was getting married, and we actually wanted to do some ceramic veneers and all for him, but then he said he didn't have a very big budget for the dental work. So because we still wanted to make him look good and we wanted him to be very happy for his wedding, we did something called direct composites, which means we took him on the chair, we designed all his teeth for him, we designed the smile for him, and in 45 minutes to an hour, about with the finishing, polishing and everything, because he could not come back, in about an hour and a half we had finished the whole thing for this boy. And he went back, you can see he's looking really nice. You can, if you look at the close-up, you can see that the whole smile is looking very nice, and with something like this, the patient is extremely happy. He was able to smile for his wedding, and it was a great situation for him because he had been given some very massive budgets for crowns and everything and all, but this was done in 1.5 hours. It was done at less than 1/4 the costing of what he would spend on crowns and things like that, and he was extremely happy with what was done for him. Okay. Something like this, where again we had a patient, she again was extremely apprehensive. If you look at her teeth, you can see that the teeth has a little bit of a discoloration on it. They are very small in size, their proportions are not correct. This smile again for this patient was created in about an hour and a half. She came in at 10. By 12 she was ready to leave because we had just done all. So this part of dentistry where we can create smiles in an hour's time is called direct composite dentistry. This is like bonded dentistry. It's like an adhesive dentistry where we have a material, we have an adhesive, and we are bonding that material to the tooth with an adhesive, and we are finishing it and polishing it, giving it a shape that looks exactly like a natural tooth and makes it look very fantastic and beautiful. So this is what she looked like. This is another patient who came in. Same thing, spacing with her teeth. Teeth are very small, teeth not looking very nice. And this is exactly what we did for the patient. Dentistry in an hour, composite dentistry or bonded dentistry in an hour. And she went back looking very nice and feeling very happy. Sometimes I have patients who are like this, who got overlapping teeth, who got teeth that are overlapping over each other and all. And they got cavities or they got decay on them. In that case, the patient did not want the overlap corrected. So what we did was we just cleaned out the decay and we sealed the tooth again. And that was it. But again, we could do it with the tooth colored material, making it look very nice. So this was another patient who went. She stays in Calcutta. She didn't have time to do any major dental work, but she fell down and she broke her front teeth just a couple of hours before her flight to Calcutta. And this is what we did for her. 1 hour before she was supposed to check into the airport, this is what we did for her. We built out her teeth for her. You can see that the broken teeth are being built out. You can see that the built out teeth are looking very nice. They don't have, you can't make out that they've been broken or they have been damaged. And finally, she stayed like this for at least 5 or 6 years. She was studying law in Calcutta. She finished studying law. She finished studying everything. And finally, when she was going to the US to shift to the US and get married there, that time we did some ceramic veneers for her. Till then, these were perfectly fine and there was absolutely no issue with this. Something like this again, where you see the only problem that this person has over here is that these front teeth are not very nicely aligned. But what we do for him over here is, because they're not aligned, we've just built out that little bit over there and the patient is very happy. How long did it take me to do? Not more than 45 minutes, and we created a perfect smile for the patient. So these are the perfect smile lines that we can create for the patient to make them look very nice. And this is what the patient prefers to look like after we finished doing all the work. So these smile lines should be looking like this. Now there's something called veneers that we do in dentistry. If we are not doing direct bonded dentistry or adhesive dentistry, which is dentistry in an hour, then we do something called ceramic veneers. The ceramic veneers are typically for patients who don't stay in the country, who can't come back again and again for a routine checkup or for a routine follow-up. So in those cases, we do ceramic veneers, which if you look at this girl, she was the model that I was talking about. And you can see that she had these crowded teeth over here. By the time we finished the veneers for her, this is what she looked like. Now these veneers again don't need any major work. What we need to do is, the whole advantage of doing a veneer for the tooth is again the same thing. When I'm doing a crown for the tooth, I'm cutting away a lot of the tooth structure. But when I'm doing a veneer for the tooth, I'm only taking away just the top layer of the tooth and replacing it with a new layer which looks much nicer and which looks a lot more fantastic. So this is what we did for this patient. We did veneers for her. If you can look at that tooth, you can see that some of the teeth are overlapping, some are in and out. So what the veneers do is, the veneers just align all the teeth together. How I align it is by preparing the tooth, doing a measurement, and the veneers then come back from the lab and they're as thin as contact lenses, which are actually placed onto the tooth after that. So this is the same, another patient that I was talking about. You can see that the proportions of the teeth are very poor. And over here, if you see, we've given her veneers again on those teeth, making the teeth look absolutely perfect. So if you look at that, you can't make out that there are crowns on the teeth. They look perfectly natural looking teeth. Okay. This is the patient who had multiple colors on her teeth. Again, same thing. We've given her veneers which are all in the same color. Patient doesn't have an embarrassment smiling, and this is what we did for this patient. Now this is another young girl where she had all these broken and discolored teeth. We've done veneers for her again. So basically, a veneer is just a very thin shell of a natural tooth that is stuck or bonded onto the tooth and makes it look nice. Another guy with a lot of spacing on his teeth. Now this is what I was talking about, a trial smile or a smile in an hour. If you look at this, when he came in, we did all the scanning for him. We simulated, we gave him a new smile to look at. Once we had decided on the new smile, in half an hour we gave him a trial smile. The second he looked at the trial smile, in half an hour's time, he said, okay, this is looking nice, let's start with the final work. So what happens with the trial smile is the patient is not thinking in their head, or the patient is not kind of worried as to how I'm going to look after my work is done. We already give you an idea as to how the patient is going to look even before we start the work. So this is another patient where you can see all those teeth that have been discolored or there are different proportions have been made a proper proportion with the veneers. So this is, again, we are talking about doing crowns over there, and this is what his veneers look like, and they look pretty good. So with that, I come to the end of my discussion. This is the team that I work with. They are my fantastic support system, and they're always there helping me with everything I do. And please feel free to get in touch. I will share all my details on this WhatsApp. You can connect with me, you can WhatsApp me, and please feel free to connect if you need any information on cosmetic dentistry, or if you want any idea as to how I can make your smile look better. I will be more than happy to help you with that. So thank you so much. I'd like to thank Team Pula for this opportunity to speak to a wide audience, so that I can kind of clarify the ideology about dentistry being painful, dentistry being very difficult, dentistry being very expensive. These are all myths, because now we have so much advancements in dentistry. The dentistry is not expensive any longer. Dentistry is not painful any longer. Dentistry has a lot of advanced equipment that we use, so it makes it very easy for us and the patients to go ahead and have excellent quality dental work like anywhere else in the world. So please feel free to connect with me and let me know if I can help in any way. I shall be more than happy to help. Thank you, Team Pula. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Khushbu, and everybody else in the back end who I have not spoken to. And with that, I take your leave. I shall see you all next week with another topic. Again, please feel free to write to me and tell me what is a specific topic that you all would like to hear about, or you would like me to speak about. If there's an apprehension, or if there are questions that you need to discuss with me, or if there are just questions in your mind that you're confused about, I'll be more than happy to help you with all of those questions, or I'll be happy to answer them here on a forum, so we can clarify doubts for a larger audience at one go. So see you, take care, and have a great evening.